Oh, thank God you're here. This is our last chance to save the Sea of Thieves. And I'm not even kidding. Like, this is literally the last chance to save Season 8 PvP. As we all know, there have been some issues with matchmaking times, and it seems like the player pools haven't been that big. But they have finally addressed some of our biggest concerns as a community. Supplies, blunderbombs, potentially being able to fight against your own faction. If you gave up on Season 8 PvP at launch, this is your opportunity to get back in there and give it a shot. There's a lot to cover, so let's just get right into it. So let's just start with the biggest one, supplies, and by extension, matchmaking times, because a lot of people stop playing this mode due to lack of supplies, and more casual players don't have the gold to be able to afford to buy supplies from the merchant or shipwrights. So the first big change is starting ship supplies. All ships will now start a session with additional cannonballs per barrel, increasing the sloop stock to 80, with brigantine and galleon going to 90. We now start with more planks. The sloop and brig now have 35, and the galleon has 40. This change should have been made ages ago because the previous starting amounts were honestly a total joke. We now start with more food. All ships now contain an extra 16 coconuts on top of the existing set of bananas. This is a massive change. Previously, only having bananas may as well have meant that you didn't have food at all. This is going to go a long way to keeping people in the game. Arguably, the biggest change for this entire update is that you can now jettison ship supplies. What this means is when you sink an enemy ship, all of their resources will float up to the surface inside of barrels, which you can then collect. This is going to be huge for keeping the battles going in Season 8 PvP. Between rounds, you'll easily be able to restock from the enemy you just sank. And if you do end up sinking outside of the Hourglass PvP due to an emergent encounter, you might have the chance to go back to where you sank and retrieve your supplies. But I think the biggest change with this jettison update that not many people are going to realize is that we now have seagulls over sunken enemy ships. Once you win a fight, you no longer have to try and remember or mark your map where the enemy sank to get their loot. You'll be able to easily just look on the horizon, find the seagulls, and go grab your loot. This is a huge quality of life change. So the final supply change we have for this update is when you die in a fight when queuing up for the Hourglass, you will spawn in a new server like usual, but you'll be at an outpost every time. That way you'll be able to easily go gather supplies and queue back up. Previously in my videos, I mentioned that there was concern over blunderbombs becoming the meta, where spamming them would just kill you, knock you off your ship, and people just do this over and over until they got the win in Season 8 PvP. So Rare has now decided to address this. Blunderbombs fired from a cannon now have a reduced area of effect when exploding, and players caught in the blast will no longer be propelled so far into the air, trying to prevent them from being so easily sent overboard. So less getting knocked off your ship. Blunderbombs fired from a cannon and hitting a ship's hull now deal reduced damage to players inside the ship that are caught in the blast. Blunderbombs are now less often found in island barrels, but when you do find them, there are now less of them in a stack. Captains restocking at the shipwright will find that the throwable supply now contains less throwables and has been reduced in price to reflect that change. The number of throwables found during the Captain of the Damned tall tale has been significantly reduced. People would often spam these tall tales to stack up insane amounts of supplies. Also, the crates found during the Dark Brethren tall tale now contain way less blunderbombs. Personally, I don't know if blunderbombs really needed a nerf. However, I have only been doing solo queues, so I guess I can't speak for everyone, but hopefully this will help reduce people's frustrations. Another fantastic change is that you can now take emissary flags you've looted with you when you dive. So now when you sink an enemy ship in Season 8 PvP, you can just grab their emissary flag, stack that on your boat, and keep the fights going. And then at the end, you'll be able to turn in all these flags for extra rep and gold. Not only that, but this also boosts your faction horde defense bonus if you want to stop invading and start defending. Again, just to remind you, this is only for emissary flags. If you try and take like a chest or something like that with you, it will be left behind. Okay, while I was actually recording this voiceover, some huge news just dropped. Andrew Preston made a post on seaofthieves.com saying that coming in early 2023, you will be able to fight your own faction, meaning when you're queuing up, it's going to try and find you a boat from the rival faction, but if it can't, it will allow you to fight within your own faction. So Reaper versus Reaper or Athena versus Athena. And another big change they're working on is allowing you to fight players across server clusters. So within your region, there are different groups of servers that you play on, and currently you can only play within your cluster, but they are working on trying to let you play with truly everyone within your region. Again, these changes aren't in this update, but they are slated for early 2023 and being worked on actively by Rare. It doesn't feel like a ton of changes this update, but the ones they did make, I do think will have a huge impact. Just getting more starting supplies and being able to jettison supplies from ships you sink sounds pretty incredible. Again, if you gave up on the Season 8 PvP, this is the time to get back in there and give it another shot. What do you think? Do you think this is enough to bring people back to the mode? Let me know in the comments. If you want to stay up to date with PvP news or just the state of the game, make sure you're subscribed. Check out my stream. I give away exclusive items every Wednesday and sometimes have Twitch drops at twitch.tv/blurbs. And get into the Discord if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.